It's the first time in a while, but we're dealing with some red alert news. Jonathan Taylor's dealing with a thumb issue, might impact his status going forward. We have to watch the news on this, but Zack Moss is a prime suspect off the waiver wire if he's available on there. We're going to go over the news, the facts, the data, and everything else, see whether or not you need Zack Moss going forward. But what you need to do right now is click that subscribe button. Tap it with the finger on your phone, click it with the mouse on your computer, whatever you need to do to get the job done. We're dropping heat on the news when it happens so you know what to do with your fantasy players. We're helping you out with the waiver wire extensively throughout the week. Multiple videos. We're helping you set your lineups. We're a big resource when it comes to your drafts. Click that button so you don't miss out next year. But reading the tea leaves here, things aren't looking good. Jonathan Taylor fresh off a 91-yard, 2-touchdown performance and a win against the Bucs, suffered an injured thumb that is requiring further evaluation. I don't know what that means. Nobody knows what that means, but this news blurb came up about an hour ago from Ian Rappaport and is blowing up social media right now. But as a precaution, if Zack Moss is there on the waiver wire, you got to take a look at him. You got to pick him up. What if this is surgery? I don't know. What if he's going to be out a few weeks? What if he's back? Who knows? Who knows? But if you pick up Zack Moss now as an insurance policy, then you know what? You're going to be in the clear if the worst happens. And this is kind of common sense because right now, when we look at the waiver wire, we're looking at running backs. There's no one really to run to. There's no one really everybody's trying to get. You got your usual guys that we're picking up and dropping every week. So looking at Zack Moss, if he's there under these circumstances, that's a move you're going to have to make. Also, you do not want to be in the fantasy playoffs, and Zack Moss is on the other team, and he's getting all those touches. Jonathan Taylor was running for a good clip before the injury. He was getting you at least RB2 production every single week, if not RB1. 3 RB1 performances in his last 5 games, so he has been solid, and we know Jonathan Taylor's good for that, and it sucks for the Colts to have him out. It sucks for fantasy managers if he's out to not be in their lineups, but looking at Zack Moss, the start of the season, when Jonathan Taylor was out, he was hitting pretty hard. Week 2, 20 fantasy points. Week 3, 22 fantasy points. A down game in week 4. Week 5, 33 on Tennessee. 17 on Jacksonville. 14 on the Saints. He's been productive. Last week, he was even productive with 9 fantasy points against Tampa Bay. So really, he is getting it done a little bit with Jonathan Taylor on the field. But now things might shape up to be a little bit differently. As we know, he can be an RB1 in the system in the year of 2023 with Jonathan Taylor out of the fold. So if this thumb injury is a big deal, which sounds like it, they just cannot put the pen to paper right now, you're going to want Zack Moss. And if it's not true, oh well, there's nothing really else on the waiver wire anyway to really work with. PPR by week, as we looked on the timeline prior here, 4 RB1 weeks on the season, that's more than a lot of starting running backs already, and he's been a backup or a 1B for a lot of the season, and then when Jonathan Taylor's out, the opportunities skyrocket for Zack Moss. 22 in week 2, 33 in week 3, 25 in week 5. A lot of opportunities there for Zack Moss to do some things, a lot of workload. This is an easy decision to make. It's an insurance policy right now, and if it becomes true, you're going to want him on your team. And Zack Moss is being dropped at a large clip in fantasy leagues. At 6.4% of leagues is being dropped. He's rostered in about 60% of leagues because he is a prime handcuff. He is probably rostered in your league, but this is a good time to sign the alarm, check the waiver wire. If he's there, pick him up. More than likely rostered, due to what the numbers are saying here, but a guy you may want to think about getting if he is on the waiver wire, because really, your waivers don't have many running backs to look at anyways, and if Jonathan Taylor's out for a bit, you're going to want Zack Moss, because history says that. Looking at the schedule here, the Colts has an alright schedule going forward, not the greatest. You don't want to run on Tennessee, but they did it before. So it's a matchup you shouldn't be too scared about. They're on the road, but it's week 13 too. A lot of teams are on bye this week. So you got to do what you got to do. There's about 10 usable running backs that you can't start this week due to bye weeks. And on top of the injuries, it's looking bad. So if you do have him, even if he's the 1B back this week, you may want to roll with him anyways if you're hurting that bad. But you need him because Jonathan Taylor might be out for a good bit. And those touches would be going to Zack Moss. Also, as prevent defense, because if Jonathan Taylor's out for a good bit and you're in the fantasy playoffs, you don't want to go up against a running back who's getting 20 to 30 opportunities per game, because that's going to be used against you in their lineup. That he might score a touchdown in that matchup. You don't know. Even if you don't need him and you got him stashed, that might be some good prevent defense. And if Jonathan Taylor is healthy, good to go, you still may need him, you still may not, but at least you got a good handcuff for the rest of the season, considering the market saying, hey, we've been stashing him anyways as a handcuff since he's almost rostered at a 60% roster rate in general. So he's a good guy to have as a handcuff anyways. And if you have him on your roster, then good on you. You're going to be able to use him. But on the waiver wire in general right now, mostly handcuff running backs. So I don't see how this could hurt you either way. So a good thing to have. You don't need him because you're good at running back, but I suggest taking a look. Think about him in general because he could be a good prevent play for the playoffs going forward. But again, this all stems on Jonathan Taylor, whether or not this injury is serious, but that news blurb did drop. That could be a big thing. And a free player off the waiver wire, if he's there, should be rostered in most leagues. Can't hurt you, especially when we're looking at the waivers right now and at the running back position. It's mostly handcuffs anyways. The logic makes sense here. If you miss out, you miss out. But I think Zack Moss is a good get if you have him on your team. If you have him on your team already, then good on you. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Ric Flair's watching you. Do not disappoint him. I want to thank you, though. I'll catch you on the next video.